That's not a very steady spot.
I'm here in the
All right,
back
there we go.
because I am the wind beneath her wings.
Welcome in. Thanks for joining. So, this is our official monthly seller chat, and today we're talking about shipping. I feel like, honestly, I feel like we beat shipping to death, but I forget that we always have new sellers coming on that need help with shipping. And so here we are talking about shipping again. Um, I have some bookmarks to give away. So I madly was making this literally seconds before, and I'll get another one made for after. It's got cute heart fabric on the back, whatnot logoed. And so let me get that giveaway started.
Right.
So welcome in everybody. How do you reduce shipping on follower giveaways? Still can't figure it out. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about, but let me pin, since you already asked, let me pin the envelope shipping guide. And it is right there for you. So just tap that picture of the item that I pinned and take a screenshot. It's not that hard once you get it figured out. Once you have it set up, it'll be set up forever in your shipping settings and you won't have a problem. But there are three main things that you have to do. So we're talking about envelope shipping. If you want to send things in a plain paper envelope, it has to be paper. It can't be a poly mailer, and it has to be flat, no thicker than 1/4 of an inch. You have to have the envelope shipping setting turned on in your shipping settings. So you need to go to your shipping settings on your profile. So go to Seller Hub, go to the hamburger menu, and go to shipping settings. Okay, so here's my shipping settings right here. And the very first thing under domestic shipments is that United States Postal Service first class mail letter. Once you turn that on, you need to scroll down to the very bottom of the page and click that little box that says also apply to scheduled shows. If you didn't do that, it will not apply it to shows you already had scheduled, and it will not ship things using that mail rate. So you've got to turn it on in your shipping settings and then save it to all your shows. And then, hey, good evening, lovely Pinto. Once you've saved it to all your shows, then when you set up a listing, the listing needs to be under the category of stickers or trading cards. Those are the only two categories that allow paper envelope shipping. Then you also need to select 0 to 1 ounce as your weight. Okay, 0 to 1 ounce. Sticker or trading card is the category on your listing, and then make sure that shipping setting is turned on. If you have those three things done, you should be golden. Okay? All right, so that's the envelope shipping. And if you need to reread, just click that document that I have pinned on the screen, take a screenshot. It has all that outlined for you, plus some additional rules about dimensions and stuff like that. All right, let's talk about basic shipping really quick. So, basic shipping settings for almost everybody that's new. I am going to refer you to, yeah, and you probably forgot to click that little box to make sure it applied it to all your scheduled shows. That's my guess, Louise. All right, so let's refer you to my YouTube account. And I'm going to pin basic shipping settings document, which is right here. So if you don't already have a screenshot of this document, you just click your screen on your phone and click on the little choosing basic shipping settings, that little purple thing, make it come up big. So let me show you here really quick. Okay, so that document is pinned on your screen. So you're just going to click that like that. Click it again so that it fills the screen, and then just take a nice screenshot of that document right there. And it's a kind of a flow chart type thing that goes through if this, do this, if this, do this. And it goes over basic shipping settings. Now, there is a caveat, which is that right now, new sellers who are just recently signed up do not have access to reduced shipping. So you are not allowed to, the only setting you can have is that the buyer pays all the shipping. You're not allowed to put in buyer pays up to max. They took that away. Yeah, it's kind of sad. I don't know exactly when it happened. And I think everybody before that was grandfathered in. And they have not said when that is going to, like on a new seller, when you will be able to get reduced shipping again. Don't know yet. We'll find out. So if you're brand new signing up, you cannot do reduced shipping right now. So just I think it's a trust and safety issue where they felt like there were too many customer service problems with people not knowing how to do shipping, and offering reduced shipping was screwing too many things up. And so that's how it is right now. The last document, this one, the basic shipping settings, just screenshot it on your own device. So just tap the picture on your device. I can bring it up again, but it'll be much easier to read if you screenshot it on your own device. All right. So that is kind of how to go through choosing your shipping settings, with the caveat that if you're new, even though that says, you can do reduced, you're not going to be able to do reduced shipping.
So which
Okay.
you want? Which one? Did
Oh,
you
the
want
cardboard one. Okay. So this is the cardboard one, just talks about this. So I'm going to talk about how to go to my YouTube channel. So this choosing basic shipping settings document that I have pinned there goes with a video that is on my YouTube account. So I'm going to show you on YouTube, and in my show notes, also take a screenshot of the show notes. Oh shoot, did I not get my show notes in there? I did not get my show notes in there, you guys. I have failed.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Hang on one second. Let me get my show notes in there because those are important. So they have lots of stuff in there. So give me a second to get the show notes in there. So pausing for just a second to get show notes. Will you type that in chat?
Okay.
Wow, I don't know how I missed that.
Lovely Pinto beat me to the punch anyway.
Okay. All right, so just a second, I'm getting those show notes posted. So, all right, the show notes are in there. And there are 6 different starred bullets. And then above that, there's a couple paragraphs. The second paragraph is my YouTube channel address. Okay, so YouTube channel address. So I'm going to pull up the YouTube so you can see it. Let me get that pulled up. And I just committed the ultimate sin by making you all hold for while I went and did something I was unprepared for. So don't follow that example for sure.
Oh, your sister told you to get over to Draz? Umera.
All right, so on the YouTube channel. All right, so this is my YouTube right here. See, it has the same logo as what I have on YouTube or on Whatnot, and my address is at Draz on Whatnot. And I would recommend searching for it using the ampersand in that exact name, because it's easier to find that way. So once you found my account, you need to go in to the lives. So there's a little menu right here where you've got home, videos, shorts, and lives. You need to be under lives. And then under the lives, you're going to scroll down through the videos.
Don't be nervous. It's okay.
So you're going to scroll down through. Oh, that's exciting.
I'm a violet girl in
First
a violet
grade train is tomorrow. All right, so you're going to scroll down through my live videos, and sorry, I need to go in and clean it up. There's a lot in there, but you're looking for the one that has a ship on the first of the title, and the title is Don't Sink Your Shipping. And there's one that was 8 months ago, and then there's one that is a little bit more recent that is called Don't Sink Your Shipping 2. Probably watch that one first, the Don't Sink Your Shipping 2. So I'm going to show you. Morning. I'm just getting sound checks turned off. All right, here. So it's this video. All right, welcome up.
Hey, that looks just like you.
I know, and there's the title. See the title with "Don't Sink Your Shipping." Just so you know, I am going. So that's the one you're going to want to watch.
Do you secretly have a twin?
That's the one you're going to want to watch with that document to help you figure out what is going to work best for you for shipping. Now, I have this show scheduled under fabric and sewing and fabric, right? So most of the people coming in here are probably in that category. Is there anyone here that sells? Will you go turn that hall light off? Because there's see that glare?
Yeah.
It's driving me crazy.
Yes, master.
So if there's anyone who is not selling in like fabric, crafts, sewing, quilting, your shipping settings are going to be a little bit different. Oh my gosh. So what does he do? Go blink the light. Okay.
Sorry.
So
Shaky hands.
So, it really honestly depends on what you sell. So, when you listen to advice about shipping, it's super important to make sure that the person giving you advice
Isn't a moron.
well, that too, but
okay.
is giving you advice that is similar to what you sell,
specific
to what you sell. So always take shipping advice with a grain of salt until you know for sure that they sell similar items. The other thing that will determine your shipping is your volume. If you do high volume sales, the way that you do shipping is usually quite a bit different than someone who's only selling a little bit, because you can change it up once you are doing a higher volume to take a little bit more risk and, if you can, offer the reduced shipping and maybe pay a little bit of the shipping cost as needed. All right.
Well, and also where you are in your sales history with Whatnot, because some of the big sellers will tell you, oh, just do this, and they've been selling for 5 years and have a big audience and stuff like that, and sometimes they're willing to take losses just to make their shipping easier because they're paying people to ship and stuff. So
Right.
take all of that in consideration too.
Right. So Pumera you've been modding for 6 months. Well, that's a good way to get your name out there. So that's awesome. So any idea if shipping costs are going up in the new year? I haven't heard of any. The last increase that the post office did affected only a couple of classes of mail, and it wasn't. I'm trying to remember what it was even. I looked at it and I was like, oh, well, that's not going to affect us.
They kind of got rid of middleman shippers the middlemen shippers took a big hit.
Yeah, some of the, third-party shipping services took a hit. But yeah, the last time I looked at updates, it really didn't affect us. And also keep in mind that Whatnot does negotiate certain rates with the Postal Service. So Ground Advantage is basically the same for retail as what they show their retail rates are. The way that we're getting a special deal is the 1 to 5 pound category. We have a max of $9.21, whether you're shipping flat rate or priority. So 1 to 5 pound, that negotiated Whatnot rate is $9.21. Under a pound, it's regular retail or commercial, not retail, commercial Ground Advantage rates, depending on the zones that you're in and shipping to. And I have a chart in the auction tab. I'll pin that right now, that shows you the commercial rates for the post office. It's just interesting to see. So you can look at that little chart that I just pinned. Just again, tap that on your screen if you want to see it, and it will show you
You have
that
to ship
chart.
through Whatnot.
Yes, you do have to do all your fulfillment through Whatnot if you want to be a seller on Whatnot.
Well, except local pickup.
Yeah, local pickup is the only exception. So right now there is no third party option. You have to do your fulfillment through Whatnot. That's important.
And it's important to note that there are some sellers who do all local pickup. They really their love group and their customer base is based on local people, and that's kind of what they focus on.
Yeah. Can you post the first chart regarding giving shipping so I can screenshot the
So you
first
did the
chart?
first chart you pulled up was your little shipping information.
The envelope shipping one or
It
the
was envelope shipping.
the envelope shipping, yes. The envelope shipping guide is right there. So that's pinned. All right. And if you want any of those documents, all you have to do is go in the shop and go into my auction tab, and all of them are in there, and you can screenshot any of the ones that are in there. So there's a bunch, I have 18 different things in there. You can screenshot any of those. Okay. All right. So choosing basic shipping settings, go to my YouTube, watch that Don't Sink Your Shipping video that I showed. Okay. My next point on here is to get all of the documents that are in my auction tab. So the other ones that I have that have to do with shipping, there's one called Shipping 101. And honestly, it's kind of generic information, but at the end of that one, I have a little flow chart that I think is useful. So let me pin that one. And you're going to go to the last picture in that document. So let me show you that one. So you're going to open that one. It has pictures of packages. And then you're going to scroll through those boring pages and then find this little flow chart. I think this is really helpful, especially for visual people who need something kind of visual to see. It's a decision tree, basically.
Dress on Whatnot. What lovely Pinto printed typed.
Yep, that's the YouTube channel address, Draz on Whatnot. Put it in with the ampersand when you type it in to search for it, and it'll make it easier to find. Okay. Yeah, use the ampersand. All right, so here is the little shipping decision tree that is in the document that I have pinned. It's the fourth picture. So just click the picture, click it again, and then scroll over to the last picture to get this little chart. Okay, and take a screenshot.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
How do you limit how many bundles that go in a package if they butt 20 items?
Buy 20 items. They will ship together.
They can butt 20 items too, but
so we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later. We're going to talk about custom shipping profiles. But let's get through some of the basics first. Okay, so we did the documents. There's a couple more in here that I want to share. So there's a chart in here that Blaze and Bunny put together that I love. And I just got permission to share hers because I didn't think I could reproduce it any better. So let me pin that one. And this one is a really good chart because you just do the vertical and the horizontal to match up your label with the type of box you can use. So screenshot this one as well, and it's going to help you understand what type of package you can use with what type of label. Okay. So for example, I just wanted to share this. See this little square box? It says priority mail. That means you can use this for priority mail. You cannot use it for ground advantage, and you cannot use it for flat rate priority because it's only for priority mail. This box is labeled medium flat rate. This can only ever be used with a label that also says medium flat rate. So if your label prints out as medium flat rate, this is the box, or the other one that's also, there's another medium one that's a long skinny one. So you have to use either of those. And you should be choosing that right off the menu when you go to ship their box. You'll be choosing, if you have flat rate turned on, you'll be choosing the flat rate box that you use. And then if you have something that won't fit in a flat rate or a priority box, then you use your own packaging, your own poly mill, or your own plain box. And those can only be used with ground advantage or priority, but not priority flat rate. Okay, so this little chart that I have pinned right there will help you figure that out if you're confused about that. So make sure you have a screenshot of that little chart. Okay.
Okay, what goes around says, I had one person buy 20 items, first 19 shipped together, one was shipping separately, and wasn't a buyer giveaway. I've never seen that. I've seen that lots.
Yeah, sometimes probably what happened is one of two things. If you had your shipping settings set at flat rate, then probably what happened is they went in and changed their address midstream, and then that last item got shipped to they either changed their username or their address, and then it
Or their form
shipped
of
separately,
payment.
or their form of payment. If they go in and change their form of payment, it ships separately. So make sure people understand that, or if you see that and they complain, ask them if they did that.
I've seen some hiccups in the system.
And then sometimes the system does hiccup, but usually that's why. If you didn't have it set for flat rate, then it did it based on weight. So they hit a certain weight, they hit the 5 pounds, and then it flipped to ground advantage, and it put priority together under 5 and then shipped the last item separate. So yeah, it just depends on how you have it set. Because the big cutoffs are everything under a pound. Once you hit a pound, it starts incrementally adding weight until you hit 5 pounds. And if you have your settings set for 1 to 5 pounds priority, but not flat rate, and then 5 pounds and over ground advantage, it will bundle the first 5 pounds of items, and then it will either unbundle or switch to ground advantage, whichever is cheaper for the buyer. So sometimes it will unbundle into two separate orders if that's cheaper, or it will bundle into one big order if that's cheaper. So it tries to figure out what's cheapest for the buyer. Okay. Thank you for your purchase. All right, let's do our first giveaway. So I do have one of these whatnot bookmarks made, and then I have to make another one because I ran out of time. And so someone's going to get this, fabric bookmark that has the whatnot logo fabric. And then for Valentine's, I put little yellow heart fabric on it. So everyone getting that giveaway if you want a Whatnot logo fabric bookmark. All right. Next, let's talk about this again briefly for anyone that joined. If you are new, and I don't know when the cutoff was, but I think it's been about a month or a little bit more. If you are a new seller, you do not have the ability to offer reduced shipping. Okay. The fabric was something that when I was originally selling on Whatnot 3.5 years ago, they had some dedicated employees who were helping build this category, and they ordered some custom fabric and they gave it away, and they also let us buy some. And so it's very coveted. You're technically not allowed to sell it, you can only make stuff out of it to give away. So I make these little bookmarks, and I have a decent supply, but eventually that will run out. So I'm probably going to hoard a little bit of it and keep it. All right. So we're going to talk about that briefly. We don't know yet when that will get taken off of a new seller. So right now, if you sign up new, it will not allow you to choose the setting of buyer pays up to max and offer reduced shipping. Your only setting that is allowed is buyer pays all shipping. So that's your only choice right now as a new seller. How many of you are new enough that you're seeing that as your setting? Is anyone in here new enough within the last month or so that has that as their setting? Anyone want to share? How many of you that are new within a month are able to offer reduced shipping? Is anyone, recently new but is able to offer reduced shipping? So no one's commenting. Okay, so I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't know exactly when it came to be. So it's possible if you signed up to sell like a couple of months ago but still haven't had any shows, that you may be able to, depending on when you signed up. I don't know. So it just depends. Let's see. I had a new seller say he's had 3 shows and cannot offer reduced. Okay. So he obviously signed up recently enough. And by the way, follow Dee, who just made that comment, and make sure you go to her seller chats. She's really, really awesome with technical stuff and very detailed. And she has a lot of YouTube videos about all kinds of topics as well. Very helpful. So make sure you're following Dee Archivist. All right, so get in that giveaway, and let's talk about the next topic on here. Okay, so defaults. What are the defaults? When you first sign up to sale, your shipping settings will be defaultly set. That's not even a word, but they will be set to 1 to 5 pounds priority and 5 pounds and over ground advantage. That will be the default settings. So unless you go in and change your shipping settings, that's what they're going to be set to. And honestly, without the ability to offer reduced shipping, I kind of think that you should probably just stick with the default settings, and I'll tell you why. Because without being able to offer reduced shipping, there's really not any advantage to your buyer for you to try and do flat rate. And priority gives you more flexibility with box size and packaging type than flat rate does. And it also will protect you when they buy a lot of stuff. Then it's just automatically going to either unbundle or bundle into ground advantage. So honestly, I think going with the default settings as a new seller without being able to offer reduced shipping, I would just personally leave them at the defaults. Okay. Anyone? Oh, we have a winner getting drawn. Hey, Country Roads, my good
Country
friend,
Roads with Michelle
is getting the bookmark. Congrats. And then I'll run another one of these. The other one may or may not look exactly the same as this. I think the other one I cut out actually has some of the logoed fabric that says the word Whatnot on it.
Ooh.
Under the logo. But I ran out of time to get it made, so I'll make it for whoever wins it in a little bit. So congrats, Country Roads. So that little chart that I have in there about choosing basic shipping settings, let me pin that again. Talks about, you know, how to decide your shipping settings. If you're new, I would just stick with this because that's going to be your best bet. Does that give you the option to put in lighter items that are 1 to 5? Oh, well, automatically anything under a pound is going to ship Ground Advantage. So I'm only talking about pound and over. So automatically your only option for 1 ounce to 15 ounces is Ground Advantage. And you do need to use your own packaging for that category. So your own poly mailers or your own sourced boxes, depending on what you sell. So yeah, that's what you do for 1 ounce, 0 ounce to 15 ounces is just Ground Advantage. That's the default. You can turn on flat rate if you want, as the seller, want to give them faster shipping, but then you either are going to use one of your adjustments or you're going to pay to upgrade their shipping. So when you're going to do the shipping, if you want to upgrade their shipping, then you turn on the flat rate and then use one of the flat rate boxes to upgrade their shipping. Yeah. So every seller is given 5 adjustments a week, starting at, it's about between 5 and 6 p.m. your time, your local time on Sunday. It resets to the new week. And every week you're allowed 5 times where if you have to change the shipping settings to that would normally cost you something, it will give it to you without charging you. So you get 5 oopses, I guess is a good way to say it. And you can use it for things like you screwed up on the weight. Maybe you meant to put a pound and you put 1 ounce or something. And so then you have to upgrade them to priority, obviously, because it's over a pound. And so then that oops, those first 5 oopses are on Whatnot. After that, any adjustments that you have to make, you have to pay the difference of what didn't get charged. So and then another scenario would be you have a customer that just loved everything you had and they bought 50 items or something. It's a good problem to have, but the problem with it is then how do you ship 50 items, because obviously it's not going to fit in a bundled package. It will have unbundled it if you have it set, like these default shippings. But, but even then, the box might be too big to be able to ship within the guidelines, because the guidelines allow you for priority or priority flat rate. The dimension guideline is 12 by 12 by 12. That doesn't mean it has to be exactly that dimension. It means anything that adds up to the same difference as 12 by 12 by 12. So if you look on a calculator, if you take 12 times 12 times 12, that equals 1,728. So if you take a box that is 11 by 10 by 9, that's less than 1,700, whatever it was, right? So you're still good with that size of box because it's less than that total dimension. So that's on anything that is in the priority or priority flat rate. 12 by 12 by 12 is the max girth. If you're shipping Ground Advantage, it is 130 inches total, length, height, and width. So if you add your box dimensions up and it's bigger than 130 inches, it's going to be too big, and they will actually charge you because that is not within the allowance for an adjustment. So you have to be careful with box size in Ground Advantage because the Postal Service guidelines don't allow us to ship anything bigger than 130 inches. So it's kind of like, think about it like the same as suitcase size. When you fly on an airplane, they always tell you, okay, your suitcase can only be, 25 by 12 by 9 or whatever it is. Well,
So,
same thing on your biggest box for Ground Advantage. It has to be less than 130 inches all the way around.
so doesn't priority boxes offer weight up to 70 pounds? Do you lose that with Whatnot guidelines for new sellers?
Okay, so no, you can still use flat rate if you turn it on. And yes, it does allow up to 70 pounds in a flat rate box, but that's only flat rate, not regular priority. So the boxes that say flat rate, you can put up to 70 pounds of weight in there with they don't care if it fits, it ships. That's their logo, right?
Right.
But if you have one of the boxes that just say priority, but it doesn't say flat rate, so it's just that one of those priority mailing boxes, this is calculated by weight. So you can't, you have to put in your weight, and the charge for that box will depend on the weight. Okay. So, yeah, that's the difference. Okay. All right. So, does anyone need me? Let's write those dimensions down on here. So, if you want to take a screenshot, let me find a Sharpie. Okay. So, for priority, either flat rate or regular priority, it's 12 by 12 by 12 total. And for Ground Advantage, it's 130 inches total. Okay. So I wrote that down, and I'm going to hold that up if you want to take a screenshot of that. Those are your dimension maxes for those two classifications. Okay. And cats, plus I haven't heard of any rate increases, any new ones. The one that they put through recently didn't affect us because I think it was a Ground Advantage and um the overnight ones that went up. Oh, did I not have it at the right level there? Right there. Is that okay? Okay, so those are your max girth that your box can be. So it can be less than this, a different configuration than this. It just can't be more than that, which is, again, 12 by 12 by 12. If you multiply it out, is 1,728. Let me write that down. So if you take your box and multiply the sides out and it's more than 1,728, it's too big. Okay, and that's for priority and priority flat rate. Okay.
So can I tell an interesting story?
Yes.
Okay, interesting story time. Okay, this is a true story. Back during COVID, we were selling masks. We were sewing and selling masks like crazy. There was one post office in the region that we lived in that where if we were shipping, a lot of times we were putting our mail in at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning because we were working that late and trying to get our shipments out. But the only post office in the region that was open for us to drop our packages off 24 hours a day had a postmaster who was nuts, to say the least. And we actually had some priority packages that were rejected and sent back to us because we should have used Ground Advantage. They wouldn't even let us pay the higher price and so it was so stupid because we were losing the priority mail that we had paid, and they were sending it back to us and forcing us to send those masks to Ground Advantage. So the post office doesn't always do a great job of auditing packages, but if they want to, they can get really, really specific about what you do. So, like when you're doing certain packages, you better make sure they're an inch or more. And so we started putting, old tube socks or whatever.
Yeah, well, they were under a pound.
Just to make sure that they were thick enough that they wouldn't reject them.
Right.
It was so dumb.
Because technically, for Ground Advantage, you're required to be mailing at least an inch, because anything under an inch is considered first class. And so these were over the weight for regular envelopes, but not thick enough technically to be Ground Advantage. So Ground Advantage is supposed to be at least an inch thick. So if you're sending fabric, like if you're sending fat quarters and they just ordered a couple of fat quarters, fold them so that they'll be a little bit thicker, or add something in the package so it's a little bit thicker. Most of the time it's going to go through anyway, but just to be safe so that your package doesn't get to the buyer as postage due or sent back to you for additional postage, you should be sending your packages that are Ground Advantage at least an inch thick. Okay. So that's kind of a FYI.
FYI.
All right. So did everyone get this screenshot okay? Because I saw a couple of requests to hold that lower. Did everyone get a screenshot of that okay? All right. And right now, honestly, I think the post office is so busy, they really aren't being as picky. This was kind of during COVID, and so they were kind of scrutinizing everything. All right, let's talk about well, first of all, does anyone else have any questions about basic shipping? And those adjustments that you get, those 5 adjustments, are automatically applied to your account every week. And then as you use them, as you need to use them, it just takes those adjustments off until you have 0. And then that's when, if something else has to be adjusted, it starts charging you, and you will see a notice. It will tell you when you go to ship. It'll pop up and tell you it's going to charge you.
Cats Plus doesn't understand adjustments.
Let me think if I can show you. Let me show you in my shipping settings where it shows those so that you can see. It used to be more obvious, but they have put it in the sidebar and you have to scroll down to see it. So I'm going to go down and show you on the sidebar, and I'm going to cover up. Okay. So I'm going to take the camera so everybody, close your eyes if you're going to get busy with me moving this. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the screen here. So this is the shipment screen, and it's on this show right now. And we did do a giveaway, and someone bought something. So I have 2 items sold. Here's the one order, and I covered up the person's name. Okay. Now, right now, if you have it just like this, you don't see this, but this little thing right here where it says open sidebar, when you open that, you can scroll all the way down and it will show you label adjustment allowance. So right now, for this week, I haven't used any of my 5 adjustments because it says 5 out of 5 still available. Okay. So in order to see that, just come into your shipping and open that sidebar and scroll down. Am I showing the screen good enough?
Yeah, I can see it fine from where I'm sitting.
Okay. Does everyone see that? So you're just going to scroll down. Well, I'm asking you to look at your screen on your.
Just kidding.
Can everyone see it okay?
See it fine.
Okay. So that's where you see those adjustments. And it will tell you, if you're having to pay extra, and it will show you the amount. And when you use an adjustment, it will also show you the amount that it would have charged, and then it will subtract it back out and show that you're getting charged 0. And that's how you know you're using one of your adjustments. Okay. All right. So for example, if I click on this order that someone just made, I'm going to click the little pencil. And let's say that I decide that this person is so hugely important to me, or the item they bought is so important, I'm going to turn on a flat rate box instead of shipping it Ground Advantage. So I'm going to use a padded flat rate envelope to send this instead. If I scroll down, see right here where it says label adjustment cost of $8.43. And then it says label allowance $8.43 because it's going to use one of my adjustments to send that priority. So, because this was an item that was set up to send at in an envelope. Okay, so that would be, so it's showing me that it's not going to charge me anything, but it is going to use one of my adjustments. Okay.
Yes.
So if I saved that, that would happen. I'm not going to save it because I'm not going to send it that way, but that's how that works. Okay. Oops. And I just showed Michelle's address. All right. So let me get out of that. I hope no one saw that.
So there's a
All right.
question about the flat rate envelopes. Yes, they are free, but you have to order them from the Postal Service's warehouse. They usually don't have them at the post office.
Yeah, so those flat rate padded envelopes, maybe I'll have Bert go get one so you can see them. The padded flat rate envelopes, yeah, they don't carry them in your post office lobby because people abuse them too much. So a lot of people would go in and take those and use them as padding, right? And so, hey, Jean's Eyes in the house. How are you tonight? So people were abusing them and using them as bubble wrap, free bubble wrap. Yay. So no, they're not in your post office. So in order to get those, you need to create a postal service account. It's simple. You log on to usps.com and make an account and order free shipping supplies. And you can order all of the flat rate boxes that are like these, and you can also order any of the priority boxes that you want, and you can also order these padded flat rate mailers. But these are only for stuff that are over a pound, and your label has to say that it is a padded flat rate envelope. That has to match your label. So these can only be used for that one category of shipping. Okay.
So do you think for me to ship makeup,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just starting hopefully this weekend, but I should use those?
So it depends on what your makeup weighs. So it would obviously be cheaper for your customers if it can be shipped at Ground Advantage under a pound. Of course, if they buy more than it's over a pound, then yeah, you could. But here's what you need to do if you're going to do that. You would need, if it's makeup that is the packaging is like little glass bottles, or bottles that if they got crushed they would break and the stuff would get ruined, then you need to tissue paper, bubble wrap, cardboard, and then you can put it in either a poly mailer or one of these successfully.
So Styled Forever asked if somebody promotes $9 max shipping, are they paying that? Yes, they are paying the extra.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone advertises that and they are not able to ship all of their orders without using their adjustments, then, or if they ship all their orders and have to use all their adjustments, then anything over that, they are picking up the rest of your shipping.
So Styled Forever, you can even offer they say aren't they losing money? Yes, but it's a marketing tactic. We even have shippers that will pay all of the shipping.
Yeah.
As long as, and you can do that too, as long as you build that in. A lot of times, if you're watching like high end purses or $500 pairs of tennis shoes, they'll include shipping because they built that into the cost of what they're charging you.
Right. Or because they sell at such a high volume, they're willing
No,
to pick up or pay part of your shipping.
So Pumera, that's not Tyvek. I don't think it's Tyvek. They do have a Tyvek.
Yeah, there is a Tyvek
not
mailer,
padded.
but it's not padded and it's priority, not flat rate. But you can use those as well for priority because the Tyvek one is a priority mailing envelope that is labeled, mailing box priority mail. But it can't be used for flat rate. It has to be just regular priority.
No, if they do a $9 flat rate, a $9 rate, they're still using the flat rate boxes. They're just paying the extra.
Yeah.
They're picking up the extra.
Yeah, they're picking up any extra for people's orders that bought too much stuff and they have to put it in more than one box, or they have to put it in a bigger box and send it Ground Advantage for the higher rate.
So we've noticed, and this is just anecdotal, don't write this down as gospel, but we've noticed that most vendors who go through a period of time of offering reduced shipping, it makes their customers very, very happy, but it doesn't seem to boost sales enough to validate the extra expense because most of them very quickly move away from that.
Yeah. So is Jean's eye still here? Are you still here, Jean? If Jean would like to share, she ships high volume. She ships high volume. And she probably has to pay quite a bit of extra shipping from time to time. So tell us your thoughts on, being, because I know there have been times where you've offered like free shipping or like $5 shipping or whatever. What's the offset? Because I know people love reduced shipping, but I feel like
they say it, but they don't.
Yeah, they say it, but they don't necessarily buy more than they normally would, in my opinion. So I feel like the 921 max is really where it's at. If you can offer that, that's where it's at. We pay, let's see, we pay shipping every show up to and over $300. Sometimes depends on how long we run. Yeah. So there you go. So if you do high volume, those 5 adjustments, that's like boom, gone. And then you're having to pay any extra to put, because it's really about the people who buy a ton of stuff. Then you're having to either unbundle into multiple boxes or unbundle and put, or not unbundle, but adjust over to Ground Advantage. So yeah.
Well, and she suggests
It's an offset.
one for every shipper. And here's the beauty of Whatnot. You can educate your purchasers. If you've gone if you've ever had to ship something on your own and gone to the post office to ship in a flat rate box, holy cow.
Yeah.
It's really expensive.
Yeah, the regular retail rates at the post office, I don't even know what they're at right now, but like the minimum small flat rate box is like $13 to $15 or something like that.
Right.
A large flat rate box is over $20, well over $20. So yeah, I mean, people should recognize the value. And I know that things like Amazon Prime have spoiled people, but you pay for Amazon Prime.
Right.
You pay for it. And so it really isn't free. It's not free shipping. You're paying for it. And $9.21 is a very good rate. It's honestly the best I know of. So we have really good shipping options here. Now, I know the new sellers that aren't going to be able to use reduced shipping for a while. That's a detriment, and you're going to have to work around that until you get to whatever level they're going to restore it. I don't know what that is yet. They have not divulged to us at what point you're going to be able to do reduced shipping. But do the best you can. Do the best you can. And here's what I'm going to say about another thing that you can do to mitigate having to pay shipping. curate your shows. If you're going to sell larger items, do those separate in a different show than the items that are smaller, lighter weight, so that you can kind of control your shipping per show when you're new. And also, you can look at your orders as you're going along, and you can arbitrarily decide, you know what, I've got a couple people here who bought so much that I'm going to have to probably use some of my adjustments. Wind your show down, wind your show down, and maybe come on another, do an extra show that day or the next day to make up for the fact that you had to do a shorter show. There's things like that you can do to mitigate having to pay shipping when you're new. Because
it's a real thing, because you will notice, especially when you're new, that you may have one or two buyers who buy 90% of everything that you're selling.
Right.
And their boxes get really full really, really fast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so, you may have to call the show and narrow it down, and don't be really obvious about it. It's just, oh, well, this is how long we were going to go today or whatever. The disadvantage of flat rate over 5 pounds is the size of the box or volume you can fit. Exactly. Because there's only really those, well, there's a small box that's like fits a VHS tape size box. And then you've got the padded mailer, the two different medium sizes, and the large. So you basically have 5 options in flat rate. So if what you sell does not typically fit in flat rate, you're not going to want to use those. It's not, it's just not going to work for you.
Oh, well, if you're shipping book, okay, so there's a question about books.
Okay. So if you list your item as a book, the category is book, and they buy only books in your show, it will give that buyer the book rate up until the point that that's cheaper than one of the other rates. And then it will usually bump them to either priority flat rate or ground advantage if the book rate then ends up being more expensive, because there is a point at which book rate is more expensive on the weight. So it will automatically calculate it that way. But if they buy mixed items, so maybe you were selling books and other ephemera and craft items, and they bought a mix, it won't give them the book rate, because it has to only be the media. So DVDs, CDs, and books are the only things that are allowed, those 3 categories that will allow the book rate. And you have to have it listed as the category in one of those categories. Yeah. Where is the cheapest place to buy the other shipping materials that are not free? There's several different sources, but a lot of sellers use the Walmart wholesale. You just log into Walmart online wholesale, and they do pretty good cheap shipping supplies. And let's see, Jean's Eye says we buy supplies from You Pack and Ship. There we go. Is that the right? Did it spell it right? You Pack and Ship. So we're kind of in a weird situation here in Utah because we have a lot of liquidation. And so we get a lot of our shipping supplies free or at super
greatly reduced.
Right. People will get pallets of shipping supplies that were like slightly damaged or whatever. And so we get a lot of ours through liquidation. But I order my my tape and my labels I have on my tape and my labels I get through Amazon, and I put them on subscription, and I check them regularly to make sure they're the cheaper prices. But you can also use some of those other sources. Uline is kind of expensive, honestly. I haven't ever found that Uline is the better source.
Yeah, some of the major providers of packing material, that they'll be the first to pop up on your computer when you Google search something. Be very be very
Yeah, do a lot of comparing because
yeah.
I haven't found that that's usually the
Usually
cheaper
they're
route.
very, very expensive. They have very good stuff, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, they have nice quality, but you pay for it. Yeah. What is your opinion of the $1 starts as a new seller? It depends on your strategy. Because I'll be honest with you, dollar starts bring in the audience, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to make a profit. So you really do have to have a big enough audience for dollar starts to
Right.
work.
When you're brand new, if you start at $1, it's going to sell for
A
a
dollar.
dollar.
Right. But some new sellers will do that as a strategy to build their sales, and they're willing to take a loss for a certain amount of time just to, build it. But you've got to have all the other things in place. What do I mean by that? You already need to know that you're going to be a hit. And I don't know how to explain that other than to say,
If you're a YouTube sensation, if you're a
if you
famous
are
Hollywood
dynamic and you
celebrity,
know you can make it happen, go for it. If you are learning the app, you've never resold before, you're slow, it's going to take you time to get going, you don't really know for sure what you want to sell, just don't do it. Don't go there. It's not going to work for you. Okay, you really have to, because there are some sellers. Let me give you an example of someone who kind of did their research, built their audience, and actually took a break for a while, came back on, and they've always done dollar starts. House of Coop, and they went from 0 to blowing the roof off, whatnot, because they can do it, right? They have the right dynamic. They did their research, they put in the work, and they made it happen. And they took a loss for a while. They took that risk, and it works. And it works for them, and they do dollar starts. But if you can't, if you're not that person or not that setup or don't really know what your strategy is, what you're trying to do, it's just not going to work. Don't risk it. So, what do you do instead? You do a reasonable price, you make your shows fun, you go on frequently, you do all the other things right, and then you mix in when your show's going well, you mix in a dollar start now and again. You have this show's been going great, let's do a dollar start. Or we just got a raid, let's do a dollar start.
you
Stuff
schedule a
like
dollar
that.
start show
Yeah.
once you've got your audience.
Once you've got your audience, then maybe you can experiment with it and see if it'll work for you. But it's just not going to work if you don't have everything else in place. Hey, like it, swipe it. So let me pin another document for you that I will help you kind of decide, um, you know, what level you can kind of plan on. Let me pin this. Okay, so this document that I put together, it was just one of those epiphanies that I kind of had one day, and I'm like, this is where it's at. It's my 5 F's. Okay, how many of you have seen this before? It's just really a thing that helps you think about what am I doing, and am I doing all the right things to make my shows fun, exciting, etc., etc. You have this printed at your computer. Aw. Okay, so what's the number one F? And it's funny when I had this when I originally put this together, you guys that know me, I'm like goody two shoes. I don't ever swear. Well, maybe I've sworn once or twice on here, but if I did, it was a hell or a damn. But I'm not a colorful language person. And so I was like, can I use the F word? And I'm like, yeah, because people will remember it. Okay, so the 5 F's that came from Draz that have nothing to do with the F bomb. Number one is fun. Okay. Number one is fun. Have fun, make your shows fun. What does that mean? It means something different for everybody, and everybody likes different people and different personalities. But fun, you got to have fun. You have to be having fun, and your audience has to be having fun, or something's wrong and it's not going to work.
Or at least being entertained.
Right. So that's how it is. And if you're faking it, they can tell. So if you aren't enjoying doing this may not be for you. I'm just telling you that right up front. If you aren't having fun and enjoying being live, going live, doing shows, this may not be your gig. All right. Number 2, fast pace. What do I mean by that? Fast pace just means at a good enough clip that people aren't going to be like, oh my gosh, I have to leave because this is taking too long. I went into a show the other day and I literally was watching and watching, and I opened it to a blank picture of the table, and I heard someone shuffling around and saying stuff like, hang on, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, still nothing, still nothing. I'm like, ah, right? And you can't do that if you aren't prepared to go live, show stuff, run stuff. It ain't going to happen. So, it's got to be a fast enough clip that people aren't, it's kind of like if you turn on the TV. I mean, olden days, right? You turn on the TV and it's like fuzzy, blurry, or pixelating. Are you going to stay on that channel? No, you're out of there. Same thing with this. If you go into someone's show, you're just seeing blank wall, blank table, shuffling, hee haw, whatever. I don't know. You're not going to stay. All right. Findings is the next one. Findings. That means good stuff. You have to have good stuff that people want to buy. You need to keep up on trends. You need to see what people are buying out there so that when you're sourcing, you're picking up the stuff people want to buy. And also, along with findings, there's a lot to be said about how you present items. If you can show people and tell people the value and show them what they can do with it, or how they can wear it, or how it's going to change their life, or what it's going to do for whatever, then it's still a good finding if you can sell it. So, can you sell it? I don't know. All right. Next one is fulfillment. If you are having so much fun, you have great stuff to sell, and you do your shows at a fast clip, but you can't ship your crap on time,
Ooh, that's a swear word.
then it's going to come crashing down really soon. And if you can't provide good customer service when people message you about issues, if you're not responding and you're not, meeting their needs, it's all going to come crashing down. So fulfillment is the next one. And then the last one is frequency. So those are the 5 F's. Frequency, meaning going live often enough, people see you. If you don't go live often enough, your growth curve is going to be very flat. If you want to grow on the app, you need to do frequent shows. And maybe your goals are, I only want to do this much. I don't care how fast I grow. Great, that's fine. But make sure what you do matches what you're hoping for. Okay.
So we had a bunch of questions while you were doing
All
your
right.
5 F's.
But while I was
or
droning on
yes.
about the 5 F's.
Anyway,
Okay.
but some of them will be answered when she talks about custom shipping profiles. And then for the people that are like saying that they're not having success and things like that, we tried different things over the years, and some of them were sort of successful and some of them absolutely sucked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't our category. And one of them was vintage clothing. It just never materialized much for us. And she absolutely loves vintage clothing. So she was having fun. She loved it. She enjoyed it. She enjoyed what she was selling. And it just didn't work. It didn't help that I was the clothing model for all the clothes. But
No.
and it was women's lingerie. No, just kidding.
No, it just wasn't, something that I found success in it. So I moved on. And you may find that you may sign up to sell and whatnot, and whatever it is your original intent was falls flat and you switch it up. You may come on thinking you're going to do one thing and find success in something else. So, you just have to decide. Okay. All right. So, you first started out selling shiny brights. Oh, that's fun. My first category, honestly, was Barbie. And I mostly did that as to experiment and learn how to use the app. My original intent was the fabric and stuff, but I started out with Barbie. Okay. So let's talk about custom shipping profiles. Okay. This is, I think, not enough people even realize you can do this, first of all. And second of all, it's going to save your butt if you have certain things that you want to do with shipping. So let's talk shipping profiles. So the reasons that you would set it up: number one, frequent sales of the same or similar type items. So if you're a one item type seller and everything pretty much is going to weigh the same, be the same size, you only sell trading cards, you only sell jewelry, you only sell coins, you may want to consider setting up a custom shipping profile so that there's no guesswork, no range. That's your profile. You use it every time you put your items in. Okay. So that's one reason. Another reason you might want to use custom shipping profiles is that you have a more accurate weight. So the default profiles are all ranges. They're all ranges. And if you need to hone it in and have something more specific, use a custom shipping profile to make it more specific. Okay. Another reason is you need to limit the number of items per package. And this was one of the questions we got. So if you need to limit how much people can buy per package, use custom shipping profiles, because one of the settings is that you can say only X number can be in this box, and you use that profile on the listings that you want to limit. Now, remember, if you're using this, you cannot have the reduced shipping setting turned on and expect to have this work, because it works based on how many will fit in the box, and then it's the idea is that it then unbundles and they pay for an additional box or package, right? Well, if you have flat rate, buyer pays up to max 921 turned on, you're going to pay for the additional box or package they get. So don't use this with the buyer pays max. Okay. And then the last reason you might want to use them is for shipping large, bulky, fragile items. And again, this will not work with the reduced shipping option.
So you can segregate your shows.
Yes, segregate your shows.
Where you sell items that can go in the flat rate, and then another show, and we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do shows like that where everything.
Yeah, every once in a while we have one of our storage unit clearance sales where we sell full boxes of items. And in that show, I don't reduce shipping. I have, every box is a 921 charge because I sell flat rate boxes full. And if people want to buy more than one box, they know they're going to pay whatever the cost gets bid up to on that box plus 921 shipping. It's still a really good deal for that show because they're getting a whole box full of fabric or craft items or whatever, but you put it right in the show notes, you verbalize it, and you put it right in the listing. You will pay, separate shipping per box. So that's how that works. Okay. So let me show you on screen how to set up custom shipping profiles. Okay. So on screen, we're going to use the iPad here. So you're going to go into your Seller Hub. And then, so I'm in Seller Hub, and then you're going to go
So
to your
out there, you're making assumptions.
hamburger menu, and you're going to scroll down to shipping settings right here. So shipping settings right there. All right, so shipping settings, here's your basic shipping settings, right? Well, if you need to do a custom profile, you're going to go into shipping profiles, all right, and see how there's some there, because I have actually quite a few set up. But if you need to add one, all you do is click the add button to create a custom shipping profile. Let me give you a little tip about custom shipping profiles. Make sure you give it a name that you're going to remember, and it's not a name that's similar to anything else that's already out there as one of the defaults, or one that you already have set up. Okay, so give it something really unique so it'll be easy for you to find. So, for example, I'll show you one that I set up like last year. I have one in here called
Winthorpe?
Large Santas. And you're like, what the heck? So, we bought a storage unit that was mostly craft and fabric items, but unbeknownst to us, they also had a ginormous, well, what is the right word to say?
438
438 years
Christmas
worth
supplies.
of Christmas decorations in boxes. So we had the most outrageous amount of Christmas stuff you could ever possibly imagine. I think
We
that the
still do.
person who owned, and yeah, we still have a lot. Um, anyway, so in some of those boxes were some of those large Santas that would be like a shelf decoration, like they're made out of Fabergé or resin, and they stand on a shelf. And they are about 14 inches tall, and they're cute. And I thought, I'll try and sell some of those. So I put in a custom profile because it's not going to fit in a flat rate box, and it has to ship by itself. And the shows where I was selling the Christmas decor, I did not have reduced shipping turned on. So I sold those Santas. They got shipped by themselves. And you can see in there that it's set for 5 pounds, max bundle one.
That's Secret Santas.
And then box, I put in a measurement because most of them were roughly the same size. Okay, so if I click on that profile, you can see the settings I have in there. Large Santa ships alone, 5 pounds. And then it has the max. Sorry, I see where it's at. Oh, bundling options, max one item per box. Okay. You can also set up the box dimensions if you want to. And you can also set a fixed weight for any additional items that you would allow to be bundled with that. So if there's a scenario where you're like, well, I'm selling mostly big items, but if they happen to buy, maybe you only have a few other lightweight items in your buy it now or something. And if they happen to buy one of those, you don't want to have to unbundle it. So maybe you allow one or two additional items with that item. You could do that scenario. Okay. Think it through when you set these up and make sure you have it set up correctly. Then, once you've named that, so I had that one called Large Santas. So when I listed those Santa dolls or sold those Santa dolls, I sold it using that shipping profile. It unbundled it separate from anything else they bought. I verbally said, this will ship separately. If I listed it, it said right on the listing, this will ship separately. Okay. So Jean's Eye the other day, she mentioned in chat that she did some Disney. She had some really cute Mickey dolls that came from Disney. And that's what she did in that show. If they bought more than one, it shipped separately. Or maybe she allowed two. I don't know. But so if you have something like that you're going to sell, you need to put it in with the separate shipping custom profile. Okay. Why is it that if something is 1 to 3 ounces, they assume it's 3 when in fact it's 1? then it adds it up wrong. Well, because it takes the highest weight. That's why the range shipping is a problem if you want to use the lower weight. So if you want to use the lower weight, set up a custom profile that's just 1 ounce.
Right. So like, let's say you sell
Because it always does the higher.
Right. Let's say you sell trading cards, and your customers typically buy 5 to 6 cards. They would want to do a custom profile because they don't want their customers to be paying $9.21 for 5 little cards.
Right.
Because it would add 1 to 3 up to, well, if they bought 6, it would put them at £1.
Right. Yeah, they would only have to buy 6 cards, and 6 trading cards don't weigh a pound, right? So use a custom shipping profile. If you're selling something really lightweight, that puts it at, 1 ounce
Right. But
per item.
But the other thing to remember too is the charge for 1 to 3 ounces is
The same difference.
about the same difference. So you can help your customers get to 921 a whole lot faster, actually, by using the range.
Yeah, that's true. So it just depends on what you're selling. So I don't watch a lot of trading card shows. In fact, I don't know that I've ever watched one that more than a few seconds because I just don't buy in that category. But I think, don't they usually sell in bundles? If they're selling individual cards, they're the ones that are encased in plastic, and they would want it to go.
Yeah, for the high
in a
ones. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on how they're selling them. So they probably try to set the shipping based on what works best for the customers. Otherwise, people wouldn't want to buy them if they're having to pay too much shipping per card. So on mine, 0 to 1 and 1 to 3 is the same price. Yes. Yeah. So if you look at that chart I had pinned a little while ago, that is the commercial rates for Ground Advantage. Let me pin that again. It's based on where you live as the seller and where the buyer lives. So it's different for every person because of where they live. So the range, so like if you pull that up and look, everything 1 to 4 ounces for someone who lives in zone 1. If you're in zone 1 and they live in zone 1, it's $4.20. If you're in zone 1 and they are in zone 9, it's going to be $4.85. So it just depends on where they live. So it's not a bad idea when you're new to ask people what it shows them on their screen for shipping, to get feedback to make sure your shipping is all set up correctly when you first start selling. Or have a practice show where you invite family and friends who live in other areas that can tell you, okay, it's showing me this amount. For me, it's showing this amount. And then you can make sure it's all set up correctly.
So Diane has a question about large wreaths. And I think maybe you could talk about selling baskets for our neighbor.
Yeah. So you're going to have to do custom shipping profiles, honestly, and it's going to be shipping per wreath. So it's going to do separate shipping. And wreaths you'll be able to do because they're usually not super thick, right? So you're going to be able to do like a typical wreath is what? About 20 by, I don't know, tell me what's the size of a typical wreath?
But if it's really big, your customers have to pay the shipping or they just can't buy them this way.
So about a 20 by 20 wreath. So, but your thickness of your box, so let's just calculate that. So if you're doing 20 times 20 times, let's say what, 5 inches, 6 inches, that equals, so 20 times 20 times 5, that equals 2,000. That's too high. So 20 times 20. So that's going to have to go 5 pounds Ground Advantage because it's not going to fit in the 12 by 12 by 12, right? So you're going to have to do, if you have a 20 by, or yeah, not times. So 20 plus 20 plus 5, that's still within the 130 inches, right? Okay. So but you are going to have to ground advantage, because if you do 20 by 20 by 5 for trying to fit 12 by 12 by 12, it's not going to work, right? So you got to go ground advantage, and that means you've got to set up your custom profile. No matter how big or how much the wreath weighs, it's going to have to be over 5 pounds in your setting so that it will go ground advantage. Okay. Or it's going to try and calculate for priority, right? Because the max on ground advantage is 130 inches. Whereas the max for priority is the 12 by 12 by 12, and that's not going to work, right? Does that make sense? So that's a problem. So this was like 2.5 years ago, we were still pretty new, and we had only been selling fabric and stuff. And we tried to sell some Longaberger baskets for my neighbor. And I had never had to calculate stuff like that, and it screwed it all up. And so it was not a profitable show for us, because everybody's shipping was too much, because I didn't realize that max girth. And this was when the shipping settings that are in place now were pretty new. But when I first started selling on Whatnot, you could pretty much sell anything you wanted in the biggest box you wanted to sell it in, and Whatnot was only charging like $10 or something, because they did reduce shipping when they were new to incentivize sellers and buyers. But when they got the rates that they now have, then those parameters went into place.
So I'm going to tell you guys a dirty little secret. Big bags.
Yeah, that's another thing that you can
You can use big bags, because you can tape them, and it kind of takes those corners off and stuff and makes the dimensions smaller.
Yeah.
And so we ship with big bags that we've the really super thick.
Yeah, it's got to be really thick, though. It's got to be big, thick poly mailers. So Jean's idea is that too, yeah. So if someone buys a huge amount of fabric, you can stack it really.
Ground advantage.
Yeah, it goes ground advantage. Stack it really carefully. Double wrap it in plastic, and then do those really thick poly mailers, and then you can set your dimensions better, and it won't be in a box that's outside of the parameters. Strapping tape, yeah, will help to keep it safe. But it's got to be that really nice, thick, high mill plastic, so that it won't tear easily. Because you don't want people's fabric in a flimsy poly bag that's going to tear.
Now, obviously, if the items are breakable, that's not an option.
Yeah, but you still can do some smaller, or, like if you have a smaller item that's glass, if you tissue paper, bubble wrap, and put cardboard around it, it's the same difference as a box, and then you can put that bundle inside a poly mailer, and it honestly will get better care. And here's why. Because when you send a box, it gets shipped with boxes, and boxes stack and crush other boxes. When you send something in a poly mailer, it gets bundled with poly mailers, and poly mailers tend to, they just are in a big mound, and there's not super heavy stuff, and your box isn't going to get smashed. So you actually, in some cases, if you have smaller, fragile items, just really pack them inside nicely and tightly, and then put them in a poly mailer, and end up getting shipped a little bit safer. Just a tip. Okay. Let's see. I've gotten one package that was vacuum sealed. Yes, vacuum sealing. We sort of vacuum seal a lot of our fabric, but it's more, I call it the boob squish.
Hey, that's a swear word too.
So use thick enough bags that you pack your fabric, slide it in the bag, you squish the air out, seal it, and then it's going to fit better in your boxes. So if you sell stuff that can be squished, clothing, fabric, and obviously do it in a way that it's not going to be, mangled.
Yeah,
So it's still got to be stacked nice. You're just sucking the air out.
I
I don't know that I would go to the extent that I would invest in buying the actual bags that allow you to suck the air out. That's going to get pretty pricey. But if you get a high enough mil plastic that you can hold the bag tight and suck the air out, or just like I said, squish it flat with your body, then it will take a lot of the air out and you're going to be able to fit it in boxes better or packages.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
would say
You're going to Google the boob squish.
most of the major clothing retailers now are just using poly mailers.
Yeah.
They're not using boxes anymore.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's
It's
some
more family friendly.
chest press. Yes, that's more family friendly. Yep, I agree. So Jean's Eye says strapping tape for the most part after she does the boob squish. There you go. And it even though she separated the BOO from the B, it still hid her message. So you're not seeing that comment.
We double bag everything.
Yes, we double bag all our fabric. So it's in a nice thick plastic bag inside the box or poly mailer. And I mean, people spend a lot of money on fabric, and the last thing you want to do is have someone send you a picture of their package ripped open and all the fabric ruined because, it got torn, it got dirty, it got wet, and now you have to refund them for that package. So,
yeah, we've seen some pretty bad. We have one customer in particular, every box she gets is crushed and ripped.
Yeah, she lives in a rural area and she thinks her rural carrier hates her because she buys too much. And so all her packages are mangled. And if we didn't pack them in plastic, she would have a lot of refunds. So, yeah. But yeah, some of her boxes, you're just like, oh my gosh. And I've actually purposely tried to send most of hers in poly mailers if I can, because it goes through better. So yeah, poly mailers or the priority bubbles. So let's see. All right, so I can sell in a show a large wreath with a ground advantage and smaller items by flat rates. Let me think about that. So yes, as long as you don't have reduced shipping turned on and it just unbundles, you've got it adds up. There's other items that they buy, and then if they buy a wreath, it's a custom shipping profile, and it says right in there that it's going to ship separately for separate shipping. So yeah. Yep. So yes, you can do that. So you just have to, be upfront about it. And I mean, it makes sense to me. Because if you were on another platform, right, and you bought a wreath, you would expect to pay a certain amount of money to have that nice custom made wreath sent to you. And so you're going to be willing to pay that rate of ground advantage of it's going to be somewhere probably between $12 to $20 to ship that beautiful wreath, right? And then if you were on like Amazon or something like that, and you bought some other items besides that out of, custom shops, you're going to pay the separate ship. Well, maybe Amazon's not a good, but like on the Bay or something, you would expect to pay separate shipping for those items. That's the difficulty on Whatnot. It's not difficulty, it's a beautiful blessing, which is that you can come into one seller's show and buy a ton of different items and get bundled shipping, and it's like a beautiful thing. But it doesn't work when we want to sell those bigger, bulkier or custom items. So you have to mitigate that by doing those other things. Yeah. And if people want it, they'll pay for it. It's as simple as that. If they want it, they're going to pay. So just make sure that you have it set up in a way that everybody's upfront and clear about how your shipping works, and verbalize it, put it in your show notes, put it right in the listing, and then there's no question. If they don't want to pay the shipping, they won't buy it. But the people who see the value and want it will buy it. So that's, it's as simple as that. Most sites have $50 minimum purchase for free shipping. Exactly. So, I mean, our shipping rates are fabulous, you guys. They really are. They really are.
So let me just say something about your shipping settings. It is important from time to time to audit, because for some reason they will change.
Yeah, every once in a while something goes wrong. I haven't had it happen in a long time though. I think they've worked out most of those bugs. But every once in a while, a year or so ago, you do a show, and for unbeknownst reasons, it would have one person whose orders got all unbundled into like 3 separate shipments, and someone else, it bundled them all into one, and it made 0 sense. I haven't had that happen in a long time. If you have that happening frequently, please message customer service and have them check your account specifically, because something actually might be buggy in your account, because that shouldn't be happening.
Well, individual sellers can make typos too.
Yeah, and you could have a typo somewhere.
And you may be losing out on sales because you have an item that's
supposed to be
let's say
listed
4
at
ounces, and somehow you
accidentally put 4
14
pounds or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did that not too long ago, but honestly, it wasn't, I don't know, it was an item that I imported live during a show, and I didn't even change the shipping setting. The system did, and it was supposed to be set at 4 to 7 ounces, and the system changed it to 4 pounds. Oh, here's another tip. If you're using the scan option, does anyone here raise your hand if you ever use the scan option to scan your items that have UPCs?
Oh,
Okay. It will sometimes automatically put a weight in the listing for you. Please double check those. Please double check those, because sometimes it will put the wrong weight. So double check and make sure the weight is what you want it to be, because sometimes it'll put a pound and it should be, 4 to 7 ounces or something. Double check them.
and if
So
you're not
if
using that, you're missing out.
Yeah, let me show you. So if you don't know how to use that, let me show you really quick. Sorry, my iPad went down. Okay, so when you create a listing, from your profile, so Seller Hub, create a product. Okay, so I'm in the Seller Hub, create a product, and then you choose your category first. And then when you click this, you have options. You can upload a picture, you can take a picture, you can record a video, or scan a barcode. Okay, so let me show you. If you've never used this, I'm going to click that. Find me something that has a barcode on it, Bert. Okay, so here's an item that has a barcode, and I'm just going to hold this up to the camera. Oh, I have this. Hang on. I have the cover on here. So,
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Here we go. So I'm just going to scan this barcode. All right, so I see what this says it is. It's a little craft item. That's a little journal that comes with a tin. So it generated that for me. If that's the right item, I'm going to say select, and it is going to, usually you have to put the category in again for some dumb reason. All right, and it gives you the stock photo, and then it fills in your title and your description. Usually it's pretty generic. Sometimes it gives you a lot and you'll have to edit it. So if you need to add like an inventory number or update that a little bit, then you can, fix it. But it also will often put in a shipping weight. This one did not put one in. So I'm safe. But if it does put one in, then you need to double check that and make sure it's accurate. Okay.
I thought stock photos weren't allowed.
So it depends on the product. If it's one that's generated through that, you can use it, but then also add additional photos that you take of the actual item. Okay. And stock photos.
Stock photos are okay as long as it's beef, chicken, hogs. Those stock is great.
I think on certain branded items, stock photos are probably going to be iffy. So, does anyone know the official word on that? But I would be careful with, branded clothing using stock photos. That's probably not allowed. So, I've been using them on the craft items. I don't think it's an issue.
It's a different stock. Oh, excuse me.
Anyway, but then obviously take photos of the actual item so that they can see that you actually have it.
All the farmers got that joke.
But another thing coming down the pike, they don't have it ready yet, is we are going to be able to do AI. So if you've ever sold on the Bay and you've used AI, yeah, well, he's not being ignored. I just have to kind of continue talking.
She's ignoring.
AI is coming. So you're going to be able to put in a category, photos, click AI, and it will create listings for you. And there again, you need to check the weight in case it puts a weight in that's not accurate. So yeah, that's coming. All right. In regards to shipping, are there any other questions about shipping or anything you need me to point you to help you with shipping? One thing I will say is don't overthink it and just do some practice shows. When you're new, do some practice shows, invite family, friends, and actually have them buy some items so that you can go through the process of knowing how to ship before you ever do a live show. That would be my recommendation. Is do a practice show, have your mom who lives in another state or your aunt or your uncle or your cousin come in, buy something from you that you can actually ship so that you know how to fulfill an order.
Okay, we're getting a barrage of questions.
Okay.
What about the number 10 envelopes for giveaways? We talked about that earlier, but maybe you could quickly talk about
let me pin the envelope shipping guide again. So envelope shipping guide is pinned on your screen. Click that, take a screenshot. There's three main things. Number one, you have to make sure you have that setting turned on in all your shows. So when you turn that on in your shipping settings, the USPS first class letter setting in your shipping settings, when you turn that on, scroll down and there's a little box you have to check for it to apply to all of your existing shows. If you don't do that and you think you turned it on and you're good to go, it didn't update it to your shows that already were scheduled. Number two, you have to put your listing for your giveaway or your lightweight item that's in the buy it now or whatever under either stickers or trading cards. Those are the only two categories that allow you to use envelope shipping. Third, your weight needs to be 0 to 1 ounce.
Okay. Next question. What do you say about having a matching listing photo for per each item you will run?
A matching. Read that again.
Do you want it? Should you list everything you're going to run?
Oh, should you list everything you're going to run? No, not necessarily. That takes too much time. But when you do list something, you want it to be a quality listing. So, because they do kind of ding you if you don't have quality listings. And if you're trying to get to a premier level, you have to have a certain percentage of quality listings. So a quality listing has to have, it has to has a couple of photos, it's got to have a good description, and it's got to have a good title. And you have to have a condition on certain types of categories. So if the condition field comes up, you need to fill it in for it to be a quality listing.
Okay. Where do
Okay.
you get cheap shipping supplies?
Where do you get cheap shipping supplies? So, jeans, I mentioned, you pack and ship. I think that was the name of it. A lot of sellers use Walmart wholesale. We get ours mostly at liquidation, but also I do my labels and my tape and my poly mailers on subscription on Amazon, and I check prices regularly because different vendors will put things on sale. So that's where I do it.
Okay, and then they
Yes, it's definitely unsustainable to do every piece of fabric. That's ridiculous. But if you have a line of fabric or you're selling fabric off a bolt, you can definitely list it. And I think buy it now listings.
you pack and ship.
Yeah, you pack and ship. There you go. So that was the recommendation from Jean's Eye.
The next question: do you have Dana? Do you have to wear sunglasses to be in Bert's aura?
Today I do. He's so handsome. He went and got a haircut.
Oh yeah.
So show him your hair. Look how he. All right. Let's see. What else was that? What else was there? Let me just push it to questions. Let's see. I think we answered all of those.
I think we answered them all.
Okay.
Oh wait, another one just came in. That a beta closed API to automating and integrating listing management. Do you know if that future thing is not happening?
It is still in the works. I'm still beta testing it.
Oh, thank you, lovely.
So as far as I know, it's still happening. I haven't heard otherwise. I can ask, but as far as I know, yeah. How long have we been married? 37.
Man, long time, 30, 40 days.
No, wait. Let me do the math because I think it was 37, right?
87.
So 2025 minus 19. So yeah. Oh no, it's 38 years. 38. 38. That's bad that I had to do the math. So this year, we got married in December. Don't get married in December. And so this year it will be 39. We're almost to 40. Almost to 40
So
years. Holy crap.
Cottage Lane said, when I sell an item under $5, but not.
Oh, Whatnot takes like 70%. Is there a way to do better? So yeah, if you do the statistics, you break even when something sells for at least $10. Or I mean, you don't break even. That's the kind of the max limit of when the costs are the least. So I mean, ideally, we would love to sell everything at $10 or more. It's just not, it doesn't always work out because because of the transaction fees and the way that they calculate. So the way that go look it up. It's kind of convoluted, but go look it up, look up the Whatnot fees in your frequently asked questions. Just go type in Whatnot fees because you get charged that transaction fee based on the total sale, which includes the price of the item, the sales tax is included in that total. And then you also get that 30-cent transaction fee per transaction. And so, yeah, it does add up. So ideally, to make it the max effectiveness, you want everything to sell for $10 or more.
So
or
you can bundle items.
Bundle. Yes, bundling is where it's at as far as that goes. Meaning that instead of just sitting there selling fat quarter, it's so much more cost effective to do bundles of fat quarters or bundles of other things. But when we sell fabric, we can't always choose that because a lot of people want a half yard or want a fat quarter or something. So, it's kind of, it is what it is. But if you can average out to about $10 an item, it will lower those costs. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Okay, let me run this last giveaway and then we'll kind of wrap things up here. And someone's going to get another one that I have to go make because I didn't get the other one made in time. So get in for a Whatnot bookmark, fabric bookmark made by me.
Can be used as a
Don't
poster.
judge my stitching. It may not be perfect because this one was made fast, but they're cute. They fit on the corner of a page. And nice little logoed item to have. So everyone that wants one of these, get in that giveaway. If you're new, that makes it harder to get 2,000 though, right? To bundle.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Another thing they took away recently, just so you know, is you can no longer put a dollar item in your buy it now and flash sell it for less than $1. So if you have an item for $1, it won't let you flash sell it. Because there were people that were trying to hit their 1,000 sales by flash selling items that were $1 and it was discounting it, by the percent. So they don't allow that anymore.
So what's the purpose getting to 1,000?
The 1,000 limit is once you hit 1,000 items sold, that is when you're then eligible, once you've shipped all those items, for instant payout. So instead of having to wait until the items show delivered to get your payment, you get instant payout. So that's a big deal.
And Dana gets her Whatnot gear because she's on the community team or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'm on the community support team for Whatnot. So they send us swag every once in a while. I got this t-shirt from Whatnot, and these I actually bought from a seller who made them on her 3D printer. Probably not licensed, but they're cool. They're cool. And I love them and I wear them a lot.
I'm wearing my Whatnot navel jewel. It's a little bit uncomfortable right now.
So yeah.
How do you get on that committee?
How do you get on that committee? You have to be invited by Whatnot. So, okay, that reminds me of the intellectual property sales. Yeah. So you have to be careful of stuff like that.
Your husband's really good looking. Awesome.
He is. So a lot of sellers who are in creative categories who maybe previously sold on that other platform for handmade, that was a big deal there. Don't start doing that here and getting us in trouble here as well. So don't make things out of and try to sell things that are licensed, registered, trademarked things that you're not allowed to sell. To make things out of. So be careful with that. Yeah. What would be your shipping setup as if you were a seller of 6 months and your sales are less than 200 items per show, 15 shipments or so? If you're selling things that you can fit in flat rate, I would use flat rate all day long just because it's so much easier. Yeah. So if you have the reduced shipping option because you've been around a while, then yeah, just do flat rate and then use the flat rate packaging like these and have it set for 1 to 5 pounds flat rate, 5 pounds and over flat rate. And then when someone buys too much that won't fit in one of the flat rates, you just put it in, change it, turn off flat rate, change it to Ground Advantage, put in the dimensions of the box and the weight, and it will either use one of your adjustments or you'll pay the difference if you've used them all. And like I said, if you get to where, I almost rarely pay people shipping. because the way we do our shows, I mean, I can't even remember the last time I had to pay shipping. So, but I'm not doing the volume that like Jean's Eye is doing. She has to pay shipping because she's just doing such a huge amount of volume, but it's offset by the fact that they sell a lot and, most of their items get bid up. And so it kind of is offset and she's willing to pay, you have to be willing to pay if you want to sell that kind of volume. So it just depends on, your volume. So, yeah. All right, is everyone in that giveaway? It's about to draw. Here we go. Who's going to get it?
It's going to.
It is going to Rockin' Habits. Congrats, you're getting a Whatnot fabric bookmark handmade by Draz. All right.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I think we're going to go find someone to raid. If you have any other questions, I am on every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Look at my schedule, and I do walk and talks, and you're welcome to come in there on Tuesday and Thursday mornings and ask any questions that you have, and I can walk you through things or direct you where to find info. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
She does walk and talk. I do couch and nap.
Oh, are the Coops doing a celebration? Let me go look. We can go raid into them. I think they just hit like 50,000 followers or something. That's crazy. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, they're doing a 50K celebration. Let's go raid them. That will be fun, right? To raid into. So everyone have a wonderful night. And let me get that raid set up to go raid into House of Coop. They are a blast. So here we go.
Thanks, Jean.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Jean's Eye. Everyone that was here. Appreciate you all so much. See you soon.
See you later.